Hey guys, this is Kevin from Jenson USA. Today we're in Santa Cruz, California, looking at some new products from Raceface. Raceface actually originally started as an in-house component manufacturer for Rocky Mountain bikes. So it's only fitting that we have these new Raceface products on a Rocky Mountain. Today we're gonna talk about the Aero line, which is essentially a whole new line for Raceface. They came out with the Aero cranks last year, but now they've created a wheel set and carbon handlebar as well. We're also going to talk about some updates to the Turbine line as well. So both really exciting things, both on the carbon front and the aluminum front for every rider out there. So keep watching the video and we'll dive into all the details. So we're going to talk about the new Raceface Aero carbon handlebar. Now, this is a major departure from carbon handlebars that Raceface has had in the past. So part of the design philosophy around this handlebar was that, every rider has their own preference, every rider's a different height. A lot of handlebars currently are designed around compliance at a full 800 width. And not every rider is riding their bars that wide. About 20% of riders run bars that wide, everyone else does not. So what Raceface did is, not only is this handlebar available in 3 different rise options at 10, 20, and 40 millimeters, it's also sold in 3 different widths at 760, 780, and 800. And what that does is allows them to tune the compliance to be optimal for a rider at the desired width they have. Someone that buys 800s and cuts them really skinny, that bar is going to actually be a lot stiffer than the company intended for them. So some of the ways they achieved this proper appliance they're looking for over their bars from last year is the distance that the handlebar takes to taper from the 35 mil clamp to the standard 22.2 clamp is shorter. And it's also create a little bit skinnier area for your stem to clamp, but all standard stems will work. Some direct mounts may not, but this is a handlebar designed for enduro bikes and trail bikes. This philosophy behind that, they have called the GL tune, which stands for Goldilocks tune. Now, if you're familiar with Goldilocks, one soup was too hot, one soup was too cold, one was just right. And with this handlebar, they wanted to hit that just right mark for every rider of every size. And that's why they took this philosophy, and instead of just creating 1 SKU of each rise, they've created 3 SKUs of every rise so that every rider gets what they're looking for. So far I've done a couple rides on the Aero handlebar and I'm really impressed right away. I typically run aluminum bars, even 31/8 bars. Recently I've been riding some 35 aluminum bars, and as soon as I got on these, they did not feel overly stiff or anything like that. Raceface in their testing actually tested a lot of competitors' handlebars, both 31/8 and 35, and actually found that a lot of the 31/8 bars actually were more stiff and less compliant than some of these modern 35 mil handlebars. So overall, really good ride quality. I think they, again, hit it on the head with this GL tune. These bars are the 800 mil wide that I cut down to 795. So again, this handlebar was designed to be compliant at this width and for a rider of my height. So again, really feels good on the trail, and excited to ride them more. So some people like me, we're not a huge fan of carbon bars, mostly just because of some unknown fear maybe that they might snap or anything, even though it's very much unfounded. Raceface also understands this, and they created a whole new line of their Turbine handlebar as well. So again, completely redesigned and following the same exact philosophy as the Aero handlebar here. Again, there's going to be 3 different rise options, 3 different width options per rise, so that the customer, again, will be getting a handlebar that is truly tuned for their preference and their just height and riding style, which is really cool to see a company going that extra step to, again, provide customers with both a handlebar that's going to ride best for them, but also be in the material that they prefer, and at 2 different price points depending on what they want to invest into their bike. So on this bike, I also have the somewhat newly released Chester grips. Again, this is a grip that kind of Raceface redesigned. It has a very soft material. kind of a mushroom style design on the top with a little bit of, you know, waffle pattern, you may say, on the bottom to give your fingers some grip around. Overall, a very comfortable grip. The core of the grip is actually kind of drilled out with some holes just to give you that more like rubber on bar feel. Overall, very comfortable. As I said, I had a little issues like without gloves, my hands would get sweaty. They would slip a little bit on the handlebar, again, just because they are, you know, kind of all these mushroom lines are pretty vertical on the grip. Also on the carbon bars, I was, you know, you're not supposed to torque grips super hard. So a little bit of slipping action, but nothing major. And again, wouldn't be afraid to torque them harder. I just haven't yet. But yeah, overall, comfortable grip. Great choice for anyone that just wants a solid grip that's comfortable. It's not too thick, not too skinny. There are actually two different sizes that you can get of these, and these are the smaller size, which I really like. I still have pretty big hands, but I just like a smaller feeling grip. So really whichever, you know, size you want, there's gonna be an option for you, and it's a great choice. So currently this bike has the new Raceface Era carbon wheels installed on it. These wheels are the newest offering from Raceface. They are kind of a complete redesign from what their previous carbon wheels were. You know, when Raceface was designing these wheels, they really had a couple things in mind. You know, first of all, a carbon wheel is going to have some vertical compliance that occurs, you know, when it hits a direct impact. That wheel is going to have some compliance in a vertical orientation. But what they really were looking after was lateral compliance. So what that means is basically when you're riding down the trail and you hit a big rock on the side of your tire, the tire will be able to deflect that rock without actually jolting the bike and the rider. We actually saw a cool video of slow-mo of a rider riding that through a rough section of trail, and you can see his wheel kind of moving within the fork, but his hands on the handlebars were totally centered and still. So basically, he wasn't getting thrown offline because of his wheel deflecting off of certain rock features. You know, part of this philosophy has to do with just the overall rim profile. With these new Era wheels, there is a different front and rear rim. The front rim is more compliant, has a shallower depth, whereas the rear wheel has a, you know, deeper depth because it's, you know, the rear wheel is more designed around, you know, being stiff, or not stiff, but just being strong enough to withtake those strong impacts while still being compliant. And then the front wheel is really designed around that, you know, front compliance ideology with that, you know, being able to, again, just deflect off of rocks and other trail features to keep you in, you know, that straight line and riding smoothly. So another feature of these Era wheels is a technology that Raceface calls Anvil Edge. This was first introduced with the Turbine wheels last year that they redesigned. Basically at the top of the rim profile where it meets the tire, there's again, a wide edge to the rim that's about 4.5 millimeters. And again, this just gives a bigger contact patch of the rim if you do get through the tire and it does impact a rock, just to provide a lot more durability and strength to the rim. To kind of go through some tech features, again, 30 millimeter internal front and rear, which is kind of the standard nowadays. Also available both in 29 and 27.5 sizes. And these wheels are sold individually, not as wheel sets. So regardless if you're on a mullet bike or a full 29 bike, you can still get that wheel set up without having to buy the full wheel set and being stuck one or the other. And then also still using Raceface's tried and true Raceface Vault hubs, 28-hole spoke, straight pole spokes, very strong wheels, very light wheels. And moving into some, you know, ride feedback, again, I've been on these for a couple rides. I'm also an aluminum wheel guy. I usually run aluminum wheels. And again, like when I threw these on, I did not notice any increased stiffness in any kind of negative way. Definitely noticed the lighter wheel and just rolling speed, which was really cool, but nothing negative that came out from it being too stiff and not, again, being compliant. So that's kind of their whole philosophy with these wheels. A lot of their enduro racers over the last couple of years were running aluminum wheels because they did just like the compliance of the aluminum wheels. So they really just, you know, wanted to create this wheel set to have a feel almost identical to their aluminum wheels, and I truly think they accomplished that. Kind of saved the best for last. I'm gonna say it was the smallest product presented, but also the most surprising and interesting. I think you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
We have the new Era Chainring, which is one of the first times in the industry I've seen this approach taken to chainrings, and wow, it's really cool. So if you kind of just want to talk about the kind of the three material construction of it, and yeah, just dive in.
You know, the current examples that are out there of chainrings are you either have an aluminum chainring that's light but wears quickly, or you have a steel chainring that's heavy and lasts a bit longer. In some cases, you have titanium chainrings that are exceedingly expensive and still wear out in like a middling amount of time. And so we decided, well, why not get the best of both worlds? And so we wanted a chainring that was as light as aluminum but as long wearing as steel. For metals, you can equate wear life to yield strength of material. It's kind of an easy way to look at wear life of metals. And with that, you know, the aluminum that we use in our normal cinch chainrings has a yield strength of about 475 megapascals. Titanium used in titanium chainrings has a yield strength of about 900 megapascals. The stainless steel that we use in this Era chainring has a yield strength of about 1300 megapascals. Wow. So it's about little around 5 times the wear life of aluminum chainring. But to that end, we didn't want to make a chainring that was entirely stainless steel because it would be way too heavy. So we said, all right, well, how do we get the weight out of it? You know, we looked at titanium, but it was too heavy. Aluminum, again, too heavy. So we thought, well, what about carbon? We have over 20 years of experience making high-end carbon cranks. And so we said, well, can we do this in carbon? And yeah, it was a long shot, but it worked and it turned out with a great result. So that results is the Era chainring.
For anyone that's hesitant about carbon, like they did, you know, 3,200 test hours on these chainrings with 44 different riders. What I thought was really interesting in the presentation, you're talking about how you know, SRAM and Shimano chainrings usually last about, you know, 400,000 test cycles. This was 2.1 million. And then basically turn off the machine to prevent it from breaking.
Exactly. So, you know, we focused a lot of our testing on kind of 3 specific tests. There's a lot more tests that went into it, but there was a lot of focus on these 3 specific tests. One was the fatigue life test that you just kind of quoted there. Another was an impact test that subjects the ring to direct impacts, similar to like a rock strike or
no bash guard.
50-50 on a log. Done that plenty of times. And the other was an ultimate torque test or an ultimate chain load test. And so the tests you were quoting there were a normal Shimano or SRAM alloy ring goes to about 400,000 cycles before it fails. And with this ring, we went to 2.1 million cycles and then just turned the machines off because we didn't want them to overheat. Which is pretty sweet. The next test is the impact test. And despite its super lightweight construction, this ring, when it's impacted with an anvil with the chain on the outside, stands up to the same amount of impacts that any alloy ring on the market would do. And then finally, there's the ultimate strength test, which is just increases the chain load very slowly over time until the component breaks. In this case, the Era chainring withstands about 9,500 newtons of chain load. And if you convert that into torque, it's about the same torque as a Cummins 5.9 diesel motor. First gen 24 valve.
Most people don't have the watts to
I don't think anybody's going to be pulling a boat trailer with their bike anytime soon. So.
So pretty much indestructible is what was shown. Definitely.
And, you know, regardless, if you do smash it into a rock hard enough to break it at some point, it's still covered by our lifetime guarantee.
You know, these new products from Raceface really take a lot of innovation. And like I said, 5 years of development on some of these products, taking, you know, a lot of new technology with the carbon fiber and then also applying that to their alloy line to create products that, you know, reach that proper compliance for all riders, no matter the bar width, no matter their height. So really, you know, took a lot of focus to create carbon components that really have a lot of those characteristics of aluminum components that riders like. And we think they did a great job on it and really completed the task they were looking for. So we're super excited about these products. We think they work great whether you're riding down a trail, hitting some tech rock sections, getting stuck in a tree. They really, you know, accomplished the job they set out to do. So until next time, keep pedaling. If you enjoyed this video and want to keep up to date with the newest tech and products in mountain biking, subscribe to our channel. We're always posting videos every week, and we're super excited to share this stuff with you guys. And always remember to keep pedaling.